Hello, everyone, to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. I am that second half of that Kelsey and Dill. I am Dill.
And I'm the first half, Kelsey.
Yep. And then who's the and? We'll never know. Maybe we'll meet someone named And, and then they'll be our third co-host, or who knows.
And Andrew, who goes by And.
There you go. I don't know any Andrews who go by And. Maybe Andy, but we'll see. So I just want to preface, I sound different because I am not on my regular laptop. That laptop that I stream on went bonkers. So I'm getting that taken care of. I'm on a different setup right now, and my Wi-Fi is not as strong, so I might be cutting in and out all episode. I apologize in advance. But Kelsey, if that ever happens, just wave your arms so I know to stop talking, and then you can proceed. Just take it.
Cool.
Like it might do right now. Anyway, Kelsey, how are you doing?
I'm having my own technical difficulties myself, but not necessarily with externally, more internally with myself. I'm just powering through this hangover I have. So, but I'm really excited to be here talking about Marvel on this beautiful Monday morning.
Yeah,
things got crazy for me last night.
A different branch of Marvel too, if you will. I mean, we're diving into very non-MCU territory today. As I said last week, we're going to have a lot of doubling up of What If episodes, and then every other week we will be doing like other stuff like this, like Venom. Spoiler alert, as you saw by the thumbnail and the title, we're doing Venom. And I have seen this movie once. Have you seen this movie at all?
This is my first time watching Venom. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, because the second one's coming in a few weeks. So we figured let's review the first one, but we didn't want to go a whole 3-week stretch without What If, so we're going to do this. Now, next week we'll do the next 2 episodes of What If, this week's and next, and then we'll do Venom, their Beginners review when it comes out on October 1st. But before we get to that, let's talk about some news, Kels. What was your Marvel news of the week?
Well, we got a Hawkeye trailer.
We did.
Finally. Exciting stuff. It's a Christmas-themed show. Looks like it's the first Christmas after Endgame. So, what an exciting Christmas to have when you get half your family members back. That's like the best. That's best case scenario.
Yeah, and the rumors were that Spider-Man Far From Home might be not Far From Home, No Way Home might be a Christmas thing because it takes place around Christmas and the whole It's a Wonderful Life theme. And this one is very overtly Christmas, which I'm very excited about. I'm also excited about Haley Steinfeld. She was one of the best on the Met Gala red carpet the other night, and she definitely stood out in this trailer as well. So nice. I'm a big fan of hers. Can't wait to see her. I know Hawkeye's never been our favorite, but I'm intrigued and excited about this. I think just because of the Christmas theme, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. A lot of people have kind of hesitant thoughts about the fact that it is now that Hawkeye being deaf is finally going to be canon in the MCU.
Oh,
because people did notice that Jeremy Renner was wearing hearing aids in some of the shots in the trailer. So a lot of people are like, well, he should have been deaf from the beginning. You should have, hired a hearing, what's the word? I don't want to say something negative,
deaf actor?
Or a deaf actor, something like that to play Clint Barton. It's just, I don't know. I think that obviously when Clint Barton was cast a very long time ago, Hollywood and casting directors were not as progressive and forward thinking as they are now. Not that I'm trying to excuse it, but I understand where people are coming from, and I think we're doing a lot better job at being more inclusive and
100%
our casting these days. So
and we don't really know. Yeah, we don't really know where these Phase 1 heroes are going. The only one we really have a thought of is Thor. We've kind of heard where Hulk is and where Hawkeye might end up, but it really seems like they're passing the torch on to the next generation. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because I don't think Jeremy Renner is really destined to be in this franchise for too much longer.
Yeah,
we've already said bye to Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. and likely Chris Evans. So now I think it's just a matter of giving the rest of them really good send-offs in this show, in She-Hulk, and in Thor: Love and Thunder. But it'll be interesting. I'm very excited to see it. Was there a particular moment that stood out the most to you?
I think it's just interesting to think that Haley Steinfeld might have taken up the mantle of being like the Ronin
Mm,
in this story, the
right.
the mass vigilante they were talking about. So I'm just curious as to like why she was doing that, where she came from, like if she's just as good as an archer as Hawkeye is, like where's she been hiding? How have we not known about
Yeah.
her? Um,
True.
so I'm just excited to really dive into her character because, like you said, Dill, it does feel like they're totally just passing the torch. So if she's taken up the mantle as the designated archer in the Avengers, I'm
Right.
looking forward to getting to know her.
Great. So I don't have any news because that was really the big news that broke. So let's dive right into Venom. Let's distance ourselves from the MCU. Kelsey, this is your first time watching, so I want you to have like the first like say in opinion because I don't want to influence you, and I don't know if you know what the general opinion usually is around this movie because it was a very polarizing discussion when it came out. But
Sure.
you can give us a little if you have a little summary or want to just tell us what Venom's about. I mean, most people know, but it came out a few years ago, but we wanted to revisit it because of the new movie coming out. And we don't have to go in depth, of course, beat by beat for the movie. We could talk about things we liked and like all that jazz. And spoilers are on the table because it's been out for years. But Kelsey, what do you think of 2018's Venom?
Well, first, I would like to say that the phrase I was looking for was hard of hearing, an actor
Oh, there we
who's
go.
hard of hearing.
Gotcha.
So just wanted to get that off my chest before I continued. Okay, so Venom came, like you said, came out in 2018, directed by Ruben Fleischer.
Yep,
That's how I'm pronouncing that
that's
one.
right. The man of
Um,
Zombieland fame. He directed the two Zombieland movies, so clearly a little bit of influence there.
oh, with Woody Harrelson
Yeah, Woody Harrelson,
and
Jesse
and
Eisenberg, and Emma
yeah, yeah,
Stone. Yeah,
yeah. Have you seen those? Do you like those?
I very much like them. Yes, I think they're very enjoyable.
Because I've seen obviously the second one just came out recently, so I saw the trailer a bunch, but I never saw those, and I don't know.
I like them.
I didn't
Go
know
check them
how it
out.
would feel. Since I really liked the zombie episode of What If, I probably like Zombieland, right?
Probably, yeah.
Um, so here's my synopsis for Venom. While investigating the Life Foundation, Eddie Brock gets inhabited by an alien life form called Venom. Soon after, they both start depending on one another to survive.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
Kelsey, what were your thoughts?
I, I, here's what I'll say. I didn't feel after this movie was over, I didn't feel like I had just wasted like 2 hours of my life.
Right,
Like it was a movie. It had a beginning, a middle, and end. I was entertained to say the least. And, but it's definitely not a movie that I would like rewatch like
right,
over and over again. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like I
It
feel like
is
all the movies in the MCU, like even some that aren't like my top 5 or my top 3, like I'm still excited to rewatch them like every now and then.
right.
That's just not how I feel about this movie.
It is bonkers. It is crazy, and it's one of those movies where, like, there are some things that happen that I'm like, wow, like you guys went there. But then there's some moments where I'm like, oh, this is so bad. But at the end of the day, like you said, I love watching it. Like I'm very entertained by it. And I think it's just kind of like that mentality of like the B movie and like what it is, not like the B movie with Jerry Seinfeld as a B. I mean like the B movie term of like kind of schlocky, a little bit like not low budget in this case, but like kind of messy
Sure.
monster film. Very basic plot, but also very goofy plot. Like it's very goofy, and a lot of
Yeah.
people were saying when it came out, it's like the best comedy of 2018, and I wouldn't argue against that because I think if you approach it more in the parody comedy route, it's much more effective than like the action superhero super emotional aspect. Yeah,
Sure. I will say this though, Dill, when I was like IMDBing it to like, look at the cast and because I was really curious as to like if there was a credit to the voice of Venom because I
it's
really wanted to know. It's
it's
Tom
Tom
Hardy,
Hardy.
if you were
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Which I had no idea. I also didn't know that Tom Hardy was British. So he's
Mm-hmm.
doing a really good job at that American accent. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was like looking at it and I saw like the Rotten Tomato scores and all that, I was honestly kind of surprised at how low they were because I didn't think
Right.
it deserved, a 30 on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like I've seen way worse movies, you know?
Right. Well, the Rotten Tomatoes score is also interesting because that just means that 30% of critics gave it a positive review. So that means the 70 to 30 ratio 70% of critics didn't like it. But that doesn't mean they're giving it like a 3 out of 10. It just means like if they gave it a 5 out of 10, it's like in their lower tier. I don't understand necessarily if the Rotten Tomatoes score, like you said, reflects the quality of the film, because I think it's better than like a 3 out of 10 for sure, because it's entertaining, and because I think the visuals are very good. I think the actual design of Venom is pretty cool. That like black ooey gooey. I liked Spider-Man 3 as well. I mean, that execution I think is even worse, but it's like you said with Tom Hardy, he is the movie to me. Like, it's him. I think if you were to solely hone in on him and Eddie and Venom and their relationship and make it almost like this kind of like rom-com essentially, because they're like these two very odd, it's like an odd couple thing, not romantic, but like it's this odd couple opposing comedy type thing. I think if you go that lens, which it looks like the trailer for the second one's really doing, I think it's a much better movie. But I think adding all the other filler stuff, like the two scientists, that whole lens and angle, and then the romance with Michelle Williams, is all just extra fluff. I think that doesn't necessarily need to be there. But you got prestige actors in there. I mean, Riz Ahmed as the villain, he was just nominated for an Oscar for Sound of Metal. Michelle Williams, multiple Oscar nominee, almost won for plenty of films, Brokeback Mountain, Manchester by the Sea. So like, you've got good talent in there. Tom Hardy is an Oscar nominee, but I feel like he's utilized very well, and the rest really aren't. But
I was going off of that, like, I love the relationship between Venom and Eddie. Like, you know, like, you just quickly, like, even though he's like this ooey gooey thing that's kept in like a canister to becoming this like hideous, like scary looking creature, you find ways to just love him. You like, I love Venom. He's great. He's protecting Eddie. He has these like very quick like quips. Like, I just like him.
It almost feels like Hulk, but like a bit raunchier. Like it's almost like when he's trying to control the guy inside him in like Infinity War, where he's trying to like communicate with himself almost. It kind of reminds me of that, but to a more raunchy extent. You know, it's very violent. Sure. He's literally biting people's heads off, and at the very end, literally swallowing someone whole. And I think those moments are just the most fun, where you get to see their like back and forth nature with each other, because it's impressive, like you said, because Tom is doing the voice, and what I read is that he would go to the voice recording studio in the morning, record the Venom lines. They would then put the Venom lines on like an MP3 and put an earpiece in him, and he would do his scenes talking to himself. So they would play his audio of himself talking as Venom in his ears. So he was actually responding to someone. He was responding to the actual Venom voice, which I think is really effective, and it definitely shows, because there is a good chemistry there, and it's him and his own voice, which is very impressive.
My favorite sequence in the film was when he first when Venom's first inside of him, and he's half controlling his body, half being controlled. And he never knows when, you know, Venom is going to decide what he does next. And you said that earlier that, you know, it felt kind of almost like it was a cliche at some points with like the action and stuff. I thought the fight, like the combat sequences and the fight sequences, were actually really cool. And unique. Like the apartment scene, like that was a dope scene, because the entire time he's like, I'm so sorry, I can't help this, like I'm not doing this, you know.
And then there's the neighbor with who's playing his electric guitar, and he's like, can you please keep that down, I'm having a rough time. He has like that accent, and then and then the Venom just comes out. I love that. And like the more I'm talking about it, the more it's like growing on me as we speak, because I'm like, there's just nothing else like it. And I think that's what's so unique about it, is it's not a great movie. It's not. It's just not. It's very silly, very stupid, but it's entertaining. And I almost wish sometimes the MCU took bigger risks to be like totally separate from the pack like this is, because this is not anything like any other Marvel movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, honestly, Dale, when I was making the comparison, I made the same exact Hulk comparison, especially like the moments in Infinity War when they're like, you know, he's trying to get Hulk to join the fight. And honestly, like, that kind of took it away a little bit, because I'm like, oh, well, now it feels like this is a story that's already been done before. This, like, you know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing.
Yeah, true. So I'm like, it is very Jekyll and Hyde. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what did you think of the romance? Because that's like the one aspect where I'm like, it just seems like when you get an actress that good, and then you just kind
Mhm.
of make her this, like, it almost seems more of a plot device, kind of like what I felt Rachel McAdams was in Doctor Strange. We're gonna
Sure.
bring it to the MCU. It's just like I think if you take her away, the movie still kind of works as is. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, I think, because I think they kind of tried to add too many things to make it more of your normal superhero movie when it didn't need to be. And again, that kind of plays into also the doctor, the scientist, or whatever, and like he's just kind of like your generic scientist. There's nothing that sets him apart from any other scientist.
Mhm.
And for them to try to give him and give the girlfriend so much of an arc, it just didn't always come together for me. So like, I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, literally one of my notes is didn't care for Michelle Williams. And
Yeah,
nothing against her, like she did
no,
a
she's
fine
great.
job with what she had, but I just did not care for her character. First of all, when I saw her, I was like, "Oh my god, is that Gwen Stacy? Is she Gwen Stacy?" She bared a striking resemblance to
Right.
Gwen with that blonde and the
Mm.
bangs and all that. And I was like, I have to read the comics because I don't know if Eddie Brock and Gwen Stacy are involved at all because it sure looks like it.
I think they were in Spider-Man 3 too, right? Aren't they in a relationship? Topher Grace and
I I watched that movie so long ago. Oh, with Bryce Dallas Howard?
Mhm, I think they
Which
have like a little thing, and that's why he's jealous of Peter. But
maybe.
I can't remember. We'll revisit those at some point. Oh, you know we will.
Yeah, I know. I know we will. Probably around this December. I have a hunch. Uh no, but my biggest complaint about this movie is that the opening was so boring
Yeah.
and so long. Like I feel
Mhm.
like the whole beginning where it was like, "Oh, look, I had this perfect life. I'm getting engaged. I had this great job." And I'm a tough reporter, like I ask the hard questions and it's like he does one thing and it's like boom, all falls apart and then we cut to a screen that's like 3 months later. I'm like, we didn't need all that. I think we
Yeah.
could have just started the movie with, like, his life, like, being apart, Like,
Mhm.
it could have been, like the opening shot literally could have been, like, him looking at, like, the ring she gave back to him, and it's like, oh, then he has, like, a friend that's like, "Ah, she's still gone," and then it's like, "Yeah, been 3 months now. I should probably get rid of this or something," you know? You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then
that's what I meant by like the fact that the stuff with him and Venom is just so much more exciting than everything else around him.
yeah.
And I think that's just the core of the movie, and that's just how it happens. It's just that part is so intriguing that the rest is just, yeah, like you said, it's kind of boring and it's just very generic and like doesn't feel very inspired in its writing. Like the stuff with Venom, the conversations there feel inspired, but the rest doesn't really. No.
Yeah. And listen, I realized that it was like Riz Ahmed, like when I saw the credits and I was like, "Oh my god, that was Riz Ahmed." His character was like so lackluster for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
this I was like, I hated the villain, but like not in a way where it's like, "Oh, I hated the villain because like you're supposed to and like, the actor did a
Yeah.
great job, like whatever."
Like
Like
Thanos. Yeah.
yeah, like I hated the villain because I was like, this guy is so boring and like I it's just like he's just so ugh, I just like didn't like him. Like the second
Right.
he was on screen, I was like, "Ugh, I don't like this guy at
Yeah,
all."
like he that's why I think the second one's going to be such an improvement, and we will transition in like but after we finish our thoughts, like what our expectations are for the second one, because
Yeah.
it's going to be about Carnage, and Carnage is an actual like monster. Like there's an actual threat that feels like he's on Eddie's level. I never felt like this guy was on Eddie's level, and I feel like Eddie doesn't need a villain. He can have kind of society be the villain because Venom, like that's the conflict. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be this third party. And I think that's almost what kind of Spider-Man 3 gets some flack for, is because you add so many villains to the mix, and it's like Venom, his own story could be its own movie, and then Peter's stuff with the Sandman and Harry could be another movie. Like it almost felt like two movies in one, and this movie kind of feels similar, where it's like you don't need the big mob of people going after the monster. You can just make it about Eddie's internal demons, and then in a future movie, make it more about the society and how they react with Venom and all that stuff. Which is why the second one I'm very much more excited, because I just got a vibe from the trailer that they're really diving into the relationship of him and Venom more, and they're going to commit to like the actual threat to Venom being like another entity like Venom, and that
Yeah.
being Carnage. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like origins, we see them time and time again, and they're just hard to do. They're hard to pull off at this point because we're so sick of seeing the same like build up and story like every
Right.
single time.
True.
Because obviously, like, we get more excited for the second one, like the second installment, because we're like, oh, great. Now they've like figured each other out more. It's going to be either them still trying to figure out how to work as a well-oiled machine, or we're going to see them as a well-oiled
Right.
machine. Like, it was great. That being said, though, I do think that the ending really set up the second one well.
I agree. Yeah, that
Because
last sequence where he's kind of walking down the street and he has like
yes.
Venom kind of talking in his
Yep.
ear, like how do we know what's good and what's bad? Who do we bite him? Do we kill her? And
Yeah.
then they get to the convenience store, and that scene is just amazing. But
Yeah.
please continue elaborating because that's just amazing.
No, yeah, that was a really good sequence. And you mentioned this before, Dale, but I really want to emphasize the fact that I thought the CGI was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even because I know you're not a big fan of like the last epic battle in these movies because
Right.
it's just like a CGI fest. But I really didn't. I was watching it with the two Venoms, or the two life forms like fighting each other,
Right.
and I was like, you know what? It's actually really not taking away, because every
No.
now and then, like Tom Hardy would become Eddie again, and
Right.
then Riz Ahmed would become, I think his name's Dr. Drake. I made that up.
Drake Lamore.
It would like be Dr. Drake Lamore.
If
That's
you know that
funny.
reference, comment below. You'll get a prize, aka a shout out on the next episode.
Ooh, I like that
See, it's
idea.
a good non-monetarily prize.
Yeah, and then they would just like become like each other like every now and then. Oh my god, the second that they started fighting each other, Eddie was fighting as Eddie, and the antagonist was fighting as him. I was like, this nerdy ass scientist does not stand a chance against Tom Hardy. Look at him. He could knock him out with one punch. I
And
just
that's
thought
what's so
that was
funny.
very funny.
That's what's funny too, is that Tom Hardy is such a big buff guy. Like we've seen him as Bane, but like here he's kind of playing like a little bit of a Weasley little reporter guy. Like he's not the big tough guy, which I really like.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think he pulled that off well. It's not that, because he's still like very forward when he comes to being a reporter. It's not like he's like, oh, hiding behind my notebook and my glasses. He's like, no, I'm going to ask you the tough questions because that's what I'm here to do my job. Like, he's still good at his job. But
Yeah.
like, one of my favorite moments is again during that apartment sequence when he puts his hands up. And Venom's like, what are you doing? Put your hands down. And he's like, it's a very sensible thing to do
Yeah.
when people are pointing weapons at you.
Yeah, he's just like an everyman kind of guy, which I love.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is the lobster tank. I think that is just
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah. Oh,
because it's
yeah.
like
yeah.
Imagine how crazy that would be if you're sitting in a restaurant, and a fancy restaurant, because you have lobster, like it's a fancy restaurant. It's not out of the shell yet. And then he jumps into the tank and just eats, like, it was awesome. And that's like the stuff I hope they like lean into more in the second one. Just like the absurdity of all that kind of shit that you can do with this like literal monster living inside you. It's not Jekyll and Hyde where it's two humans and one is evil, one's good. No, this is like an actual beast. And it's not like Hulk either where he's like this kind of dumb idiot, like, oh, but he means well. No, this is a really, really nasty, brutal character.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that they have that option now to like just go crazy with it.
I think the whole like opening of the movie should have been like, boom, he gets inhabited by Venom, and then we just have like just sequences of him doing random things like that, because that would have been so much more entertaining. To see
like
him grab the steak off the plate, bite it, spit it out of his mouth, and go, "That's dead." Like it was just so funny. That's another thing. Like Tom Hardy, like he was just funny. He was funny in this movie. I'm like, this is great.
A lot of people are like, what is he doing? He's doing such a weird thing with his performance. But I was like, no, like how else are you going to act that? Like that is how you have to approach this character. Because I think Topher Grace was too much of that, like, kind of nerdy reporter guy. And then when he was Venom, it just didn't make sense. Whereas Tom, I think when he was Venom, he was really embodying the physicality of it. He's just so good. And I can't wait to see him in more stuff that like gets him more attention for his career, because I feel like he's always been a very well-known actor to the film people, but to like the mainstream he still hasn't. And he was the lead of Mad Max Fury Road. He was Venom, but like he still hasn't broken through that threshold. And I'm hoping he does, because he's great. He really is.
I will say I was sad to see Jenny Slate go.
Yeah, but again, I didn't think her character did much. Like I feel like she was just kind of expendable, and she was there to just be like a sacrifice to give the villain some sort of something. But I like her, so yeah.
See, I totally thought that they were setting her up to be like his new love interest kind of thing. Like they were gonna partner up, and maybe she does like get put in the tank with the thing, but then like boom, like he comes in and like saves her at the end. I was like, "Oh, man, she's totally gonna die."
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Jenny Slate's making it out of this.
Yeah. Again, like I feel like just some of the characters they focused so much on Eddie that the rest of them just kind of felt just kind of not random, but just they weren't as well developed, I think. And then the horror elements, like we haven't really talked much about them, but I think they're good too. Like the biting of the heads and stuff. And I like how it's still in the PG-13 lens where you can't really necessarily show all the blood and stuff, but like you get a good idea as to what the terror is and the horror is. And I almost wish they get an R rating just to see what the fuck they would do. But
yeah,
I get it, you know.
Yeah, it could get pretty gruesome. Yeah, I wrote down, I'm like, he's really scary looking. Like he's a scary looking creature. And it's almost like it doesn't really take away from like you watching the movie. Cause I feel like for me it was like almost kind of refreshing. Cause I'm like, you never really see the MCU go. I mean, they've never really done horror before or incorporated a ton of like horror elements in their other movies, but to just like see something more graphic and in like the superhero style of genre.
I'll tell you, Kelsey,
nice.
you're gonna love Suicide Squad when you watch it. Not the first one, the second one. You're gonna love it.
Right. The Suicide Squad, isn't that what it's called?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So any last thoughts on this Venom and then like your expectations for the sequel? Like what are you looking forward to? Do you have an idea of where they're gonna go with it?
I watched I saw the trailer for the second one before watching this, and I was just like, well, I guess I have to watch the first movie to understand what's going on.
Right.
Go figure. So then after I watched the movie, I watched the trailer again, and I was like, I don't know why, but I was surprised that they had like Woody Harrelson already locked down in 2018 for a sequel. Like this felt because I remembered hearing that this movie didn't get great reviews when it came out, so I was honestly surprised that there was even going to be a sequel. So the fact that like I saw him in the end credit scene, I was like, oh, so they've been planning this. Okay, I thought they were like, oh my god, like we need to bring in like a superstar actor to make this second one like way better. And they just called up Woody, but no, he was like locked down since 2018, which surprised me.
I do have to ask, what did you think of the credits? Because when I was watching it last night, I was like, wait, it's over? There's 16 minutes left. And then I watched, and I was like, there's 16 minutes of credits. And at the end, they do show like a few minutes from Spider-Man into the Spiderverse, because that was the big movie coming out. And that was like a tease. But at the same time, I was like, imagine people sitting in a theater after the movie's ended for 16 minutes more. Because it's Marvel, people are going to stay. I couldn't believe it.
I was surprised too, because I was like, oh my god, I have a ton more movie to go, because I think I was watching it before work or something, so I was like, I have to watch this movie, and I was like, oh, I have a ton more movie to go, and then I was like, nope, just credits from here on out, and I was like, well, you know what that means. In my mind, I'm like, oh, so there's got to be end credit scenes on this. But yeah, love the Spider-Verse tease. I sat there and watched that whole tease, knowing I've seen that movie multiple times. I sat and watched that whole thing. But yeah, I think, like you said, I think I'm just excited to see him just do more ridiculous stuff with Venom. And I'm excited for that villain. That's a scary looking Venom. Woody Harrelson's Venom.
Carnage, yeah.
Is that its name?
Yeah, Carnage.
Carnage.
So that's the big villain. And again, like the Sony deal, they got Spider-Man, but Sony got to keep Venom, which is cool, because now you can like just kind of bring in other Spider-Man villains that just won't be in the MCU and still be able to make movies with them. And then Morbius, which is coming out, it was supposed to come out last year, and then this year, and then it got pushed to next year. Morbius is also going to be in this universe as well after Carnage. So
pulling a New Mutants on us.
Yeah, like Jared Leto is playing Morbius too, and he's just bonkers as well. So like they're really casting these roles well to create this kind of like Spider-Man villain universe, the SVU. Law and Order Spider-Man villain universe, SVU.
SVU. Yes, that's what it stands for, actually.
Yeah. So, Kels, what is your final thought, and then like have a score to give it?
I give it a 6 out of 10. It was what it was.
Yeah, I'd probably go with a 5, only because like I think it's exactly right in the middle. And I think when like a scale of 1 to 10, 5 is right in the middle for me.
Yeah.
And it leans more negative than positive, but I still enjoy it enough, So
Yeah. I think it was Tom's Hardy's performance for me that really
yeah,
pushed it over to the 6 territory. But I
right.
will say I do have a little bit of a theory to talk about.
Okay. Go for it, please.
So, I don't know if you've seen, but recently, I don't know what I should preference this with. I guess I'll preference it with the hat. So recently, Tom Hardy has been spotted wearing a Spider-Man No Way Home hat.
Oh.
And people think that it's because, maybe he got like a little wrap gift from being on Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't know. So then when I was watching the second trailer for the like Venom 2, the Venom 2
Mhm.
trailer, I noticed a few things in the trailer. One, there is a shot of a man reading a magazine, a newspaper with a Daily Bugle magazine. Oh my God, I said magazine again. Newspaper. So we
Yeah.
know that automatically, puts Spider-Man and Venom in the same universe, as we knew they were. But, I feel like this just confirms it.
In terms of like studio universes too.
Yeah. Um, and then so interesting, at 1 minute, 28 seconds, you see Woody Harrelson's character kills a spider. A spider is on the table, and he
Mm,
goes, so I'm like, is that a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink at
maybe.
Spidey boy,
If
Petey Parker?
if Disney was able to crack a deal with Sony where they could get Venom into the MCU, that would be like the biggest like underground deal ever. Because like right now, it's like you get Spider-Man. Like they're not even able to call her Mary Jane. It's MJ. Her name's Michelle. She's not even Mary Jane.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, that's why it's MJ, not Mary Jane.
Makes more sense.
Because Mary Jane is a Spider-Man name, and that's why Vulture is an Iron Man villain. He's not a Spider-Man villain. So now I'm thinking about it, like I think Mysterio they got the rights for too. They had to like go through a special deal to get Mysterio.
Mhm.
Maybe I mean they got Doc Ock, they got Electro. At least we know there's probably going to be more, probably Green Goblin. So maybe they get Venom too. Maybe, or maybe they were just like, hey, we're filming both these movies at the same time. Do you want to like a hat?
Very true. Very fair.
Hey,
Could just be.
send this to Soundstage 6. Yeah, tell them their movie's going to be great, but ours is going to be better.
Listen, I'm just saying there's a lot of speculation going around,
Yeah.
obviously, with Spider-Man No Way Home about if we're going to get like Toby or Andrew. But I'm like, I think we're focusing our speculation in the wrong direction. I think we should be looking out for possibly a Venom.
Yeah, because this idea is great too. Have Tom Holland face 6 Spider-Man villains, make them the Sinister Six, and pull them from different universes. Pull Doc Ock and Green Goblin here. Pull Electro from here. Pull Venom from here. And then pull like Michael Keaton as Vulture and Mysterio again, and boom, there you go. Like that could be a very good way to get it, and not have to have the other 2 Spider-Men. I think fans would still be satisfied. At this point, fans are going to be satisfied both ways and unsatisfied both ways. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But you know who the director of Let There Be Carnage is? Do you know?
Is it John Watts?
No, it is Andy Serkis, who, as we know, plays Ulysses Claw, and he is also very, very popular in mocap. He was Caesar in Planet of the Apes. He was Gollum. He was King Kong. He's done a lot of mocap, so I think he's a perfect person to do like a creature feature like this, like because he has the experience of CGI creatures.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. And then I just had a final thought about the trailer. I was like, this trailer kind of sucks. It really doesn't give you any information. Like at all.
I think that's a good one. I think that's a good trailer, though.
I mean, I think it should set up like the conflict at least. I mean, you get it from like the quick shots, but like it's not like, oh, this guy escapes from prison and now Venom has to deal with it or whatever's gonna happen. It's just like this creepy guy's in prison and now he's a monster. It's like you didn't really give me anything to go off of here.
Yeah, maybe there's going to be some big like twist or surprise that we don't know is coming. Maybe this is just going to be a long trailer for Spider-Man Far No Way Home, and it's just going to end with like Doc Ock and Electro being like, "Yo, we got to come to this multiverse and go do this." I don't know.
Everything's connected to No Way Home at this point. Hawkeye,
yeah, I mean,
Loki, they're all connected.
Apparently, because Loki and Wanda, and they've been putting like the timelines together. Okay, Doctor Strange pulls his magic when Sylvie kills the overseer, and then when Wanda's doing her spell, like it's all connected. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. I'll wait till Marvel tells me. At this point, I'm just like, one at a time, please.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So mess up the multiverse one at a time, please.
Yeah, like only one multiverse at once, please. And then we have What If, which is like way out there too, which we haven't even gotten to. But next week we will be talking about What If. We'll be talking about episode 6 and 7, I believe. Yeah, because Zombies was 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about 6 and 7.
There's 9 total.
I don't know how many there are total. I remember I just saw a mid-season trailer, so I think there's a lot more than 9, but it could be 9. Who knows? But I'm assuming they'll end it by Hawkeye. That's my guess. So
right.
Do we have a date for Hawkeye? Do we know when that's coming? That's like
November 24th.
Okay, so that my guess would be that What If ends a week or two before. Because when is Eternals?
It's November. I'm making this up. 11th. I made that up.
Okay, so I'm wondering if it'll end right before Eternals, and then kind of like Loki, how it ended right before right after Black Widow. I don't know, something like that.
It's the Fridays in November, or it's either the 5th, the 12th, or the 19th. My money's on the 12th for the Eternals.
Okay, so my guess is maybe the final What If episode will be that week or the week after. Because it's going to be over by Hawkeye, so we'll see. And I don't know how many episodes Hawkeye is. I'm assuming 6 or 7, if I had to guess. But WandaVision was 9, so who knows?
I don't like shows that are odd numbers. I like an even number.
I was going to say, I've been binging The Sopranos again, and they're all 13-episode seasons, and I'm like, I feel that. I'm like, you have to end on 13, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know.
Wait, whoa.
Whoa.
Episodes. I'm on IMDb.
Okay.
I think there's 9.
Okay,
Wait.
So there might be 9.
Actually, but it says episodes and then it says 18.
Yeah, that's what I thought it. Maybe though it's split amongst 2 seasons.
So is it 18?
It's either 9 and 9.
Oh, it says season 1 and season 2.
Yeah. So what is season 1?
Okay, so it's 9 and 9.
Okay, so yeah, that means we just saw episode 6 to 79. We have 3 more episodes of What If left. So we will do the next 2 episodes of What If, which is this week's episode 6, the Killmonger episode, and then 7, which I don't know what the 7th episode is. And then next week, the week after, we will do the Venom Let There Be Carnage review. The week after that, we will do episodes 8 and 9, and then that works out perfectly. And then we're done. And then we dive into whatever's next. I know we said we'd do a Chadwick Boseman movie club at some point, and then I want to start watching maybe some Spider-Man stuff before December, but, one at a time.
Are we finally going to have the age-old who's the best Spider-Man debate, Dill? Ready to go toe-to-toe with me?
There's no debate, but you know what we should do? We should find someone who's very pro-Andrew and get them as a guest on the show. Whoa, and the Andrew will be our third guest. Holy crap.
Oh my God, full circle.
So I'll be arguing for Toby, you'll be arguing for Tom, and we'll have someone come in for Andrew. That might be fun. But we'll get there when we get there because we got plenty more to talk about. Until then, Kelsey, where can they find you on the internet?
I would just like to say I was literally going in my notes looking for his name because I just wanted to say it.
Oh, the doctor?
No. I don't have his name. It's like Carlton Drake or something like that.
Oh, that sounds very much it. Yes. Wow, good poll, trivia queen.
This is what I'm saying. We need to put this brain of mine to use for something.
Do you know what his evil name is when he becomes like the Venom-like monster?
I can't even take a guess. Did they say it in the movie?
I don't know. It says Riot. R-I-O-T.
Wouldn't have guessed that. Do you
remember Michelle Williams' name? Let's see if you got this.
Anne.
Yeah.
And her last name is something weird. It's like weighing or something.
It is. You're good. All right, everyone, schmo down. Listen, Kelsey wants in.
I'm available.
Yeah, put her in the Inner Geekdom League. We'll make her watch all the Star Treks, all the Star Wars. She knows her Harry Potter.
Do I have to watch the Lord of the Rings movies?
You would have to, yeah, if you're in the Inner Geekdom division. But, Kelsey, they are 3 of my favorite movies of all time. And I think
there's only 3? I feel like there's 89.
There's 6 Middle-earth movies, but 3 of them are Lord of the Rings. So there's 3 Hobbits, 3 Lord of the Rings, and then an animated one from the 70s, but no one really talks about that one.
Gotcha. Well, I just wanted to say that I haven't seen it yet, the Killmonger episode, but I imagine because it's surrounded by around Tony Stark, we're gonna be getting a lot of Mick Wingert. That's the actor who voices
Oh,
Tony.
I was
Because
like,
the last time I said his name, you were like, "Mick Wingert, like, what's his first name?" And I was like, "No, no, no, that's both of his
oh,
names."
yeah,
Because you were like,
McLovin. That's
"McLovin," yeah.
yeah. Okay. McWinger,
So shout
you're
out to
coming back.
you, Mick.
I believe he was the voice of Tony because I watched it, and we'll talk about it next week, and I will give my thoughts up because I think this was my least favorite episode so far. But I don't want to spoil too much, so
All
we'll get there
right,
when we get there.
Jill.
And you know that coming from the biggest Killmonger fan there is, Kelsey, where can they find you on the internet?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You could follow me on TikTok at Cause13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
I'm trying to make a K. Hold on.
This is it in sign language.
There you go. I don't know the sign language, but I was trying to make like a K with my fingers, and I feel like that's a one letter I can't. But yeah, follow that channel. It's a great channel. You can follow my channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. You're watching on this channel, so subscribe, like, comment, please. Rest of the socials are down there. My Wi-Fi's cutting out, but they're all down there at Dylan_Randazzo, at Dylan Randazzo 417 for TikTok. I launched a new show talking about reality TV because I hated making separate videos for every show, so I just bundled them into one, and it's called Recipe for Reality. It's now on the channel. Also, we have Picture This every month. This month we're doing 2007. Next month we have a horror-themed one for Halloween. New York Film Fest coverage starts soon. Starts on the 24th. I will have a review for The Tragedy of Macbeth, the new Joel Coen movie starring Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington. And then what else are we doing on the channel? Oh, Film Off. We will have an episode of Film Off this month at some point. I just got to talk to Crosby because we're now airing that monthly. But a lot of fun stuff. And then, other stuff that I might think of in the meantime to put on here. Who knows? But yeah, follow my letterbox. It's also Dylan_Randazzo because in October I will be doing my 31 days of Halloween where I watch a movie every day in October. And I don't want to put reviews on there because that's too much editing, but I will be writing up little reviews on Letterboxd. So follow that if you want those. Kelsey, any plans for Halloween? You have an idea of who you're going to be?
What do you do on Halloween when you're 23 and you're graduated and washed up? I don't know.
Living in the city, I mean, there's a bunch of kids, and in my building there's kids, so we're gonna get trick-or-treaters. So I'm gonna dress up for the trick-or-treaters, and I'm still on the Miss Minutes train. If I can make that happen, I will do it. But
I think you should. I think you should find a way. My friends and I are trying to coordinate, and it's not going well, to say the least.
Well, yeah, I mean, usually it's like you put a semi effort into Halloween when you're older. I mean, you can go crazy with Halloween, but like I feel like you put a semi effort when you're older because like there's always parties or something. You don't want to just come dressed as in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or you can do what my roommate does, put on a flannel and say you're Jesse from Breaking Bad, and everyone's like, yeah, great. So
cool.
That's what I remember. That's what Landon did a few years ago, and it worked. I mean, he sold it. And then I was like, I dressed as an old man one year because I put on like an old mustache and then just put on glasses. And I was like, I'm an old man, and I committed to the bid, and that's what it was. Halloween's a fun time. My favorite holiday, but yeah.
I try to be an iconic woman from history every year as an homage to all the great activists who came before me. So I gotta find.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have anything on the radar this year? Or no?
Honestly, this is like so random, but I recently saw a costume for Avril Lavigne. I know she's like not as iconic as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who I was junior year of college.
I remember I remember RBG. I remember you doing
that. But it was great. It was like her look from the Girlfriend video, and I was like, that's super cute. But I gotta think of something better. I think
there's a lot of iconic women in the news now. I mean, Britney Spears. You could be also Miss Minutes. She is
an iconic woman.
Queen.
For sure.
Just a lot of people. Zendaya, who's going to be in literally the two biggest movies of the year, Dune and No Way Home. Good for her.
She's killing it.
Yeah. Anyway, we've talked and rambled about Halloween way too much. What is your favorite holiday, though? Mine's Halloween. What's yours?
Thanksgiving. No question.
That's a good pick. That's my second or third pick. I mean, Christmas, Halloween, and Thanksgiving, like that trifecta is like so strong. All right. Peace out, everyone. We'll talk to you next time. Hopefully, I'll be on a real computer with a mic and everything. I'm sorry for the audio today.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to Dill's laptop.
Yeah, I mean, last I saw it, I'll hold up a picture of what it looked like for anyone who might know how to fix it. I turned it on and it was a green screen, and not that green screen, like a green screen. So, prayers for me. See you all next week, where we talk about What If episodes 6 and 7. This was Venom Talk. Let there be carnage.